There is a good chance you have a deficiency right now. You almost certainly don't know it. And the thing you're missing is produced by something that has been freely available to humans from the beginning. The sun is right there. It always has been. And somehow, in 2026, over 1 billion people on Earth are deficient in the thing it makes. This is the story of vitamin D, what it actually is, what it actually does, why almost nobody has enough of it, and why that matters more than most people realize. Let's start with the name. Vitamin D is not a vitamin. That sounds like a technicality. It isn't. The definition of a vitamin is a nutrient your body cannot produce on its own and must get from food. Vitamin D doesn't fit that definition. Your body makes it, from scratch, using nothing but sunlight. Here is how it works. Your skin contains a type of cholesterol called 7-dehydrocholesterol, sitting just beneath the surface. When UVB rays from the sun hit your skin, they break a chemical bond in that molecule and convert it into pre-vitamin D3. Your skin's own warmth then rearranges it into vitamin D3. Your blood carries it to your liver, which processes it into a storage form, the one measured in blood tests. Then your kidneys make the final conversion into the active hormone your body actually uses. That is 4 steps: sun, skin, liver, kidneys. Every single one is necessary. If any step fails, too little sun, liver disease, kidney problems, the whole chain breaks down. What your body makes is not a vitamin. It is a hormone, one that circulates in your blood and sends signals to cells across almost every organ in your body. Vitamin D receptors have been found in the brain, the heart, the lungs, the immune system, the gut, the muscles, and the pancreas. Whatever vitamin D is doing it everywhere. So what is it doing? The thing most people know is bones. Vitamin D controls how much calcium your body absorbs from food. Without enough of it, calcium passes through you largely unused. Your bones need calcium to stay dense and strong. Without calcium, they weaken. And without vitamin D, the calcium you eat does almost nothing. This was the first thing scientists understood about vitamin D, discovered by studying a disease called rickets. Rickets was common in industrial-era cities, particularly in northern Europe and the northeastern United States, in the 1800s and early 1900s. Children who grew up in crowded urban areas, spending their days indoors in factories or tenement housing, rarely saw sunlight. Their bones softened, their legs bowed under their own weight, their growth was stunted. It was one of the most visible health crises of the industrial age, and for decades nobody understood why. The answer, when it came, was almost embarrassingly simple. These children weren't getting enough sunlight. Their bodies couldn't make vitamin D. Without vitamin D, their bones couldn't use the calcium they were eating. The cure was to send children outside, or to give them cod liver oil, which is naturally rich in vitamin D. The bowed legs straightened, the disease retreated. Rickets seemed like a solved problem. It largely was for a while. What took much longer to understand was that bones are just the beginning. The immune system runs on vitamin D. When your immune cells detect an infection, one of the first things they do is activate receptors for vitamin D, because vitamin D directly regulates the immune response. It helps coordinate the attack on pathogens and then helps pull the immune system back before it overreacts. People with low vitamin D levels get sick more often, recover more slowly, and are more prone to the kind of runaway immune responses seen in severe infections. Beyond immunity, vitamin D plays a role in mood. The brain contains vitamin D receptors in regions involved in mood and cognition. Seasonal affective disorder, the depression that affects many people during winter, has long been linked to reduced sunlight and reduced vitamin D production. The relationship is not fully understood, but the pattern is consistent enough that researchers take it seriously. There are also associations with cardiovascular disease, certain cancers, type 2 diabetes, and multiple sclerosis, which is notably far more common the further from the equator you go. These are associations, not proven causes, but the biology is plausible and the research is ongoing. The question is, if vitamin D is this important, why are so many people deficient? The answer is that modern life has almost perfectly engineered the conditions for deficiency. Start with where you spend your time. The average person in a developed country spends roughly 90% of their time indoors. Office jobs, commutes, screens, the lifestyle that defines most of modern life happens inside buildings, away from the sun. You cannot make vitamin D through a window. Glass blocks the ultraviolet light that triggers the reaction in your skin. Then there is sunscreen. Sunscreen works by blocking ultraviolet light, specifically the same wavelengths that produce vitamin D in your skin. An SPF 30 sunscreen reduces vitamin D production by roughly 95%. This creates an uncomfortable situation. The public health advice to wear sunscreen to reduce skin cancer risk directly conflicts with the body's need for sunlight to produce vitamin D. Both recommendations are correct. The conflict between them is real. Then there is latitude. The angle of sunlight matters enormously. In winter, in countries north of roughly 35 degrees latitude, which includes most of Europe, Canada, the northern United States, and large parts of Asia, the sun is too low in the sky to trigger vitamin D production at all. From roughly October to March, at these latitudes, no amount of time outside during the day will produce meaningful vitamin D in your skin. For up to 6 months of the year, the sun is simply not strong enough. And then there is skin color. Melanin, the pigment that gives skin its color, acts as a natural sunscreen. It absorbs ultraviolet light before it can penetrate deeply enough to trigger vitamin D production. People with darker skin require significantly more sun exposure than people with lighter skin to produce the same amount of vitamin D. In equatorial regions, where the sun is intense year-round, this is not a problem. Darker skin evolved there precisely because melanin protects against UV damage. But in northern latitudes, with weak winter sun, darker skin becomes a significant risk factor for vitamin D deficiency. Studies consistently show that people of African, South Asian, and Middle Eastern descent living in Northern Europe or North America have dramatically higher rates of vitamin D deficiency than their white counterparts in the same locations. This is not a marginal difference. In some studies, deficiency rates among Black adults in the northern United States exceed 80%. It is one of the clearest examples of how a trait that was adaptive in one environment becomes a liability in another. So, how do you know if you're deficient? The honest answer is that you probably can't tell from how you feel. Vitamin D deficiency is largely silent. Fatigue, low mood, getting sick often, aching bones, all of these can be symptoms, but all of them have dozens of other causes. The only reliable way to know is a blood test, a simple one, available from most doctors. If you live at a northern latitude, have darker skin, work indoors, or spend most of your time out of the sun, the odds that you are deficient are high enough that getting tested is genuinely worth doing. If you are deficient, there are 3 ways to fix it. Sunlight is the most efficient. 20 minutes of midday sun on your arms and legs in summer can produce more vitamin D than most people get from a week of diet. But this only works in the right season, at the right latitude, without sunscreen. It is not a reliable year-round solution for most people. Food helps, but less than people think. Very few foods contain meaningful amounts of vitamin D. Fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines are the best natural sources. Egg yolks contain small amounts. Some foods are fortified: milk, cereals, certain plant milks. But getting adequate vitamin D from diet alone is genuinely difficult without eating large amounts of oily fish every day. Supplements are the most practical option for most people in northern climates, particularly through the autumn and winter. Vitamin D3, the same form your skin produces, is more effective than D2, the form found in most plant sources. Most health authorities recommend somewhere between 600 and 2,000 IU per day as a maintenance dose, though some researchers argue the threshold should be higher. Very high doses can cause toxicity, so more is not always better. But for most deficient people, a standard supplement taken daily through winter is safe, cheap, and effective. Here is the strange reality at the center of all of this. For nearly all of human history, vitamin D deficiency was essentially impossible. Humans evolved outdoors, under the sun, at latitudes where the sun was strong. The body's ability to produce vitamin D from sunlight was so reliable, so abundant, that no mechanism evolved to store large reserves of it, because it was always available. Then we moved indoors. We built cities at northern latitudes. We put on sunscreen. We covered ourselves with clothing. We created a world in which the most efficient vitamin D producing machine ever designed, the human skin, is almost never exposed to the thing it needs. 1 billion people are deficient in something the sun gives for free. The sun hasn't moved. We have.